Hi mates, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how to cut and sew a jumpsuit using the freehand method. We won't be making use of pattern for this project. If this is something you'd like to know more about, please keep on watching and let's get started. I have 3 yards of fabric here, and this is what I'll be using to recreate the style. Any fabric of your choice, and you also need a zipper. I'll be making use of an invisible zip for this jumpsuit. I am starting with the lower part of the jumpsuit, the front part. I have folded my fabric into 2, and the first line I am marking across the fabric will serve as the waistline. From the waistline, go ahead and mark the crotch line. You are going to take that measurement on your body, and whatever you get, you are going to mark it and connect into a straight line. This picture I put up here is to show you how to take the measurement from the waistline to the crotch line. And remember that we are making a jumpsuit, so you are going to take that measurement as if you are making a high waist trouser. The next measurement is from the waistline to the knee line. You're also going to take that measurement on your body, and whatever you get, you're going to mark it on the fabric. I have marked mine now, and I will connect it into a straight line. I'll go over it again. At the top, we have the waistline. The second line is the crotch line, while the third line is the knee line. From the folded part of the fabric here at the crotch line, I'll go ahead and mark the crotch extension. For the crotch extension, I marked 2.25 inches. Depending on your size, if your hip is between 38 to 42 inches, you can mark 2.25 or 2.5 inches. But if your hip measurement is above 42 inches, like 44 inches upwards, you can mark 3.5 inches, depending on your size. So after marking the crotch extension, from that point where you mark the crotch extension, go ahead and mark your hip measurements divided by 4. After marking the hip measurement divided by 4, add 1 inch allowance. That will be the sewing allowance. Add 1 inch for sewing allowance. Now from the point where you mark the crotch extension, you are going to connect it to the waistline. So just bring in your ruler like you see me doing and connect from that crotch extension to the waistline. Just take it up from that crotch extension. The next measurement I'll be taking is the waist measurement. The point where you have the crotch extension at the top, that is where you are going to place your tape and mark the waist measurements divided by 4 and add 1 inch allowance for sewing. Now use your curved ruler to connect from the waistline to the crotch line. Now to form that curved shape we always have around the crotch area, I'm just going to bring in my curved ruler and connect like you see me doing. You're not going to make the curve too deep. Make sure that when you're connecting the crotch area, it is not deep. The next step is to connect from the crotch line to the knee line. For the knee line, you are going to deduct 1 inch from what you measured as the crotch extension. If you measured 2.5 inches for the crotch extension, at the knee line, you are going to mark 1.5 inches inwards before taking your round knee measurement. I hope you guys understand. So, assuming what you marked as the crotch extension at the top is 2.5, you are going to deduct 1 inch from that and put 1.5 inches at the knee line. Once you mark that, it is from that point you are going to mark your round knee measurement divided by 2 and also add 1 inch allowance for sewing. Now that I have marked mine, I'll connect from the crotch line to the knee line. I'm just going to connect like you see me doing, and on the other side I'll connect from the crotch line to the knee line. The next step is to mark the full length of the trouser. So from the waistline, go ahead and mark the full length of the trouser. Now remember that we are making a jumpsuit. You are going to deduct your half length from your full body length. What I mean by the full body length is from the shoulder to the floor length. So deduct your half length from that measurement, and that is what you are going to mark as the trouser length. To connect from the knee line to the trouser length, you are going to open it up as much as you want. It is not a fitted trouser at the hem, it is a flare trouser. From the knee line, you can open it up as much as you want. You can see that with mine, it is with the amount of fabric that I have, I used it up to the end of the fabric. Depending on how wide your fabric is at the bottom, you can open it up as much as you want. Now we are done with cutting the front part of the trouser. I'll cut it out now. This is what we have for the front part of the trouser, and we have two pieces. I'll set this aside so that we can work on the back part. For the back, I won't be using the front to cut the back. We are drafting the back separately. The first line I have marked across the fabric is the waistline. So from the waistline, go ahead and mark your crotch line. The same measurement you marked for the front crotch line is what you are going to mark for the back. Once I'm done marking the crotch line, I'll go ahead and mark from the waistline to the knee line. The same measurement you marked for the front is what you should also be marking for the back. After marking, connect it into a straight line. Now we move to the crotch extension. For the back, I'll be adding 1.5 inches to the crotch extension I marked for the front. For the front, I marked 2.25. If I'll be adding 1.5 inches for the back, that means I'll mark 3.75 for the back crotch, and that is what I marked here. From that point, take it up to the waistline. Once we are done with that, from the point where I mark the crotch extension, I'll go ahead and mark the hip measurements divided by 4 and also add 1 inch allowance for sewing. On the waistline, go ahead and mark the waist measurements divided by 4 and add 1 inch allowance for sewing. Now you're going to connect from the waistline to the hip line. Once we are done connecting that, we move on to this part of the crotch to use the curved ruler to connect it. Don't forget, don't make it too deep, just connect like you see me doing. Don't make it too deep. And because this is the back part of the trouser, from the waistline we are going to extend it by 1.5 inches. Extend it like so and connect it back into the side of the trouser. At the knee line, the same measurement we marked inwards for the front when we were drafting the front is what we are going to mark here. So once you are done marking it there, then take your round knee measurements divided by 2. Don't forget to add 1 inch allowance for sewing. Now you are going to connect from the crotch line to the knee line on both sides. The next measurement is the full length of the trouser. So from the waistline, go ahead and mark the full length of the trouser. Connect that into a straight line, and the same process we did from the knee line to the full length of the trouser for the front pattern is what we're also going to do for this back. So go ahead and connect from the knee line to the full length of the trouser on both sides. Notice that I did not add any dart allowance in drafting both the front and the back, so it is totally optional. If you want to add that to yours, you can add that to the waistline, but I did not add any dart allowance to this trouser for the front and the back. Moving on to the upper part, we are cutting the front part of the upper part first. So now I'm marking the line across the fabric. My fabric is folded into 2. I am marking a line across the fabric which will serve as the shoulder line. From the shoulder line, I'll go ahead and mark the chest line, I'm marking 8.5 inches as the chest line, and I'll connect that into a straight line. Next, I'll go ahead and mark from the shoulder line to the waistline. I am marking 17 inches as the waistline, and I'll connect that into a straight line. Now I'll go in with the shoulder measurements divided by 2, and I'll add ½ inch for sewing allowance. I'll mark that on the shoulder line and also on the chest line, and I'll connect into a straight line. Next, I'll go in with a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3.5 inches, and I'll connect with a curve. I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope, and I'll connect it into the neck width. Next, I'll go in with the bust measurements divided by 4, and I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance. On the waistline, I'll go in with the waist measurements divided by 4, and I'll also add 1 inch for sewing allowance. Note, I won't be taking any darts on the upper part also, so it is totally optional. If you want to add that to yours, you can add it now. From the chest line, I'll go up by 3 inches. From that 3 inches point, I'll go in by 0.75, and I'll connect the 3 points together to form the armhole. Once we are done marking the armhole, the next thing is to cut it out because we are done with the front part. So I'm going to cut this out now so that we can cut out the back. While cutting out, add ½ inch allowance to the bottom. We already added 1 inch allowance to the side, so no need to add any other allowance, but add ½ inch along the armhole and at the shoulder. Moving on to the back, I'll fold my fabric into 2, and the first thing I'll do is to mark 1.5 inches by the side of the fabric. That will serve as the zip allowance. So mark your 1.5 inches on the new fabric and place the front fabric on the 1.5 inch mark you have on the new piece of fabric. Now that we are done with that, we are going to mark the neckline for the back. For the back, I'll mark 2 inches for the neck depth. Once we are done marking that, we're just going to use the front pattern to cut out the back. But take note of what I'm doing at the shoulder here. At the point where we have the armhole there, I went up by ½ inch for the back. Along the armhole also, I'm not cutting exactly what I have on the front armhole. I came out by about 0.25. So look at what I'm doing here so that you can do the same thing when you're cutting the back. I'm going to make some alterations to this back piece. From the waistline, go up by 1 inch and you're going to cut that out. You are going to slant it back to the other side of the waistline. Also, go in by 0.75. This will eliminate any bulginess at the zip area. So go in by 0.75 and you're going to slant it upwards like you see me doing and cut it out. The next step is to cut out facing for both the front and the back. I am cutting out the front part first. Fold your fabric into 2 and you are going to put the folded end of the front part on the folded end of the new piece of fabric. Place it on it like you see me doing and you are going to trace out exactly what you have along the neckline, shoulder and the armhole. This facing will extend to the armhole, so trace out everything you have along the neckline, shoulder and armhole. This is what you should have by the time you are done cutting out the facing. You can mark from the neckline about 8 inches or 7 inches for the length and just cut it out like you see me doing. Now we are going to repeat the same process for the back. I'll go ahead and cut out the back facing off camera. It is still the same process as this front one. For the front, you are going to place the facing on the main fabric, right side facing each other. You will take it to the sewing machine and stitch along the neckline and the armhole. You're going to stitch along the neckline and the armhole. After stitching, please go ahead and top stitch on the facing. Make a top stitch on the facing and press it properly. This is after I was done with mine, and I have done the same thing to the back pieces. I have also joined the front and the back together along the shoulder. So this is what both the front and the back is looking like now. If you have an overlocker, you can use it to finish up the bottom part of the facing so that it can look nice. Just like I did with mine here, I used my overlocker to finish up the facing and even the back piece. Now to the trouser, we'll be joining the front part first. So I'll just take it to the sewing machine and join with 1/2 inch along the crotch area. For the back, since there will be zip there, I'll go ahead and mark 10 inches from the waistline. That is where the zip will stop, and from that point I'll go ahead and join with 1/2 inch. This is after I was done joining the front part. You can see I finished it up with the overlocker, and the next step is to join the upper part to this lower part. We are joining the front part first, so just place it on each other, right side facing, and stitch. You are going to stitch with 1/2 inch. That is the allowance we have there, so go ahead and stitch with 1/2 inch. Moving on to the back part, we are going to do the same thing to the back. You are going to join the trouser part to the upper part of the back using 1/2 inch allowance. I am done joining the waistline of both the front and the back now. I have also fixed my zip to the back. So after joining the waistline of both the front and the back, go ahead and fix the zip. The next step is to join the bottom part of the trouser, the crotch area from the front all the way to the back. This part here, you're going to join it together with 1/2 inch. You can pin it first before joining. You can pin it like I'm doing here. Pin it first, then you take it to the sewing machine and join it together. After stitching, please take it to the ironing table and press it properly. The next step is to work on the side. I am working with a stretchy fabric, so I'm still going to use the same 1 inch allowance I added to the side to join it. But if you are not working with a stretchy fabric, I would advise that you only use 1/2 inch to join from the top all the way to the bottom. After joining the sides together, that is all on the making of the jumpsuit. For the belt, it is a detachable belt. You can just cut a long piece of fabric and make your belt. The belt part is actually optional. You can decide to wear it with a belt or not. But once you are done joining the sides together, make sure to press it properly, and that will be all on the cutting and the sewing of this jumpsuit. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, leave a comment, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Please turn on your notification bell so you get notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.